Welcome to Watch the Booker Man and to episode number 47 of Paul Heyman's TNA 2010, and tonight's show is the Go Home show for Bound for Glory, probably the most, well, definitely the most important episode of Impact that we've booked so far. And I just want to get straight into the show here with a video package which looks back at just generally the build to the pay-per-view, the last few weeks, key moments that we've seen, as well as then us turning attention to tonight's show, the return of Jeff Hardy to the ring, his first match since Hard Justice. Roderick Strong will make his New Age decision with his trial period with the group coming to an end, and Desmond Wolfe will go one-on-one with Jay Lethal. We also have a triple threat featuring the three other members of the Full Metal Mayhem who weren't involved in action last week. The final segment of the show will see AJ Styles and Kurt Angle go face to face in the ring with Paul Heyman between them, the first time since their World Heavyweight Championship match was confirmed that they'll be in the same ring. Of course, this Sunday they'll once again be in the same ring in an Iron Man match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Mauro and Taz again welcoming the viewers to the final Impact before Bound for Glory. 10-10-10 is now just 3 nights away, and a 73 rating is a pretty good way to start the show as we go into the opening match of the night, and it's 6 of the guys who are in the X Division Extravaganza. It's Eric Young and the Hooligans versus a thrown together team. Roderick Strong is out of the New Age, Douglas Williams representing British Invasion, and Austin Creed representing Larry Sweeney's stable, so very much thrown together, and that's the story of the match. These 3 guys from different groups can't get along, while Eric Young and the Hooligans form a pretty good team. EY pinning Douglas Williams following a pile driver, a good momentum builder for them in what is a pretty decent opening match. All of them involved doing pretty well, other than Austin Creed, who is the weak link in almost every match he's involved in. We'll see what we do with him after Bound for Glory, but he is in that match and he does have a chance of leaving as the X Division champion. Larry Sweeney regroups Okada and Creed in the ring. We promote that at Bound for Glory all these guys will be opponents as 10 men take part in the X Division Extravaganza, a Falls Count Anywhere match where any of them can leave as the X Division champion. Okada sitting out of action tonight. Douglas Williams rolls to the outside and Sweeney takes a microphone naming Okada, the 6 guys in this match, and Generation Me as confirmed for Sunday's match, but even he doesn't know the 10th man. As Larry puts over Okada, he is cut off as Roderick Strong comes back into the ring. He's heard enough of this and he grabs a microphone from Larry Sweeney. Roderick Strong says that Austin Creed has been sold a lie by Sweeney, just like he has, and he asks how Creed can't see this. Roddy then says that when Mick Foley got hit by a car, Jimmy Jacobs didn't have the decency to call him, let alone visit him. Every bit of thanks that he gave to that man was a lie. Jimmy Jacobs isn't even at the building tonight. He talks about being so committed to this project, but he's not in the corner of Roderick Strong 3 nights before his match at Bound for Glory. So why would Strong believe a word about this New Age, this Project 10 that he won't even give him the information from? Strong says that his trial is officially over tonight, and from what he's learnt during this month, he wants no part of the New Age. Roderick Strong will walk into Bound for Glory as his own man, and he turns to Okada, telling him that he will leave as a 2-time X Division champion. So it's a decent segment, albeit losing heat to the X Division Extravaganza storyline, but it does advance the New Age storyline as well. And Roderick Strong, he's decided that he doesn't want to be associated with Jimmy Jacobs anymore. Heading to the back, the World Heavyweight Champion speaks with Jeremy Borash. Kurt says that in the final segment of the show, he will go face to face with AJ Styles, and he's ready for it. Paul Heyman has spoken with him already tonight, and he's spoken to the challenger too. Tonight, Paul will speak with both men in the middle of the ring, but make no mistake, Kurt Angle has a lot that he wants to get off his chest too. He's trying to promote the fact that there is going to be some home truths maybe between Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. This isn't just going to be a standard go home segment. These two both have something to say, and the aim of that final segment is to hammer home just how important this Iron Man match is to the 2 undisputed top guys in the company. Prior to a match between Sarita and Tracy Brooks up next, a video package recaps the rivalry between Bad Influence and LAX. It's developed over a number of months, careers have been on the line, competitors have been put out of action, The hatred between the two has just continued to grow throughout all those hurdles. Footage from some of these incidents replayed. We see Matt Morgan hitting Amazing Red with a carbon footprint into the steel post. Homicide's return to save Hernandez from losing his job at Bound for Glory. Amazing Red, Hernandez, Homicide and Sarita will go to war with Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Matt Morgan and Tracy Brooks. Only one team will emerge victorious as the two sides battle it out in what has been confirmed as a street fight. We couldn't just have a regular match for these two sides because they hate each other so much. Sarita pretty decisively, convincingly, easily defeats Tracy Brooks. Not a good sign for them going into Bound for Glory. A flying crossbody, not a great match. Not sure why it's not advanced the storyline. I'm thankful, but I'm not 100% sure why that's the case. After her decisive victory, Sarita is joined by Amazing Red, Homicide and Hernandez in the ring, with Homicide handing her a official LAX t-shirt, welcoming her into the group. For this Sunday, she is an honorary member of the group. Tracy Brooks on the outside is seriously hurt and looks to be in tears as her husband comforts her on the ramp. Bad Influence have something to say, however, as Christopher Daniels tells LAX that in his expert opinion, there's no way Tracy will be cleared to compete this Sunday. As if this was all planned beforehand, Daniels says that they've managed to find themselves a last-minute replacement, and Matt Morgan explains that he handpicked this woman to join. He's been scouting her for some time, and she has the brains and the looks to fit in with the rest of this group. Morgan then welcomes their honorary member for this Sunday. Madison Rayne joins Bad Influence as the replacement for Tracy Brooks. The justification for this was seen in the previous segment when Tracy Brooks didn't put in that good of a performance, and I just think that Brooks being in a pay-per-view match after not really wrestling throughout the year seemed a bit unfair, while Madison Rayne, who has been champion and has been a big part of the division, found herself on the sidelines. And I do think that the arrogance and the cockiness, I think their characters will mesh quite well. Madison Rayne then adds a few words of her own, saying that just like she did when she beat Sarita and 3 other women at Slammiversary to become the Knockouts champion, she always finds a way to get the job done, and that's why she is the perfect partner for Bad Influence. So a decent segment there, not fantastic. This storyline has always been in the high 50s range, never really getting more than that, but hopefully they can still have a good blow off to this long-term rivalry at the biggest show of the year. We then cut to the back of a vehicle. We're in transit as Jimmy Jacobs is on his way to the building with Alyssa Flash and Mischief. They're not there yet, as Strong mentioned earlier, and Jacobs reacts to Strong's decision to leave the New Age after just 1 month, saying that if he'd been in the building when Strong said what he said about him, he'd have come right down the ramp to slap the taste out of that man's mouth. Jacobs will be at the building soon, but he isn't going to give Roderick Strong the time of day. He's made his bed, he's made his decision, and his lack of faith will come back to bite him very soon. Alyssa Flash and Mischief will destroy the relic that is Tara this Sunday. She's not going to be able to find a partner, so that's going to be easy, and then the festivities will begin for them. The New Age is coming and everything changes at Bound for Glory. A disappointing segment that loses heat to 2 storylines, so that's not a good sign. Back in the building, Tara is interviewed for her reaction to Jimmy Jacobs' words, as well as her continued hunt for a tag team partner. Tara says that everybody knows what to expect from Jimmy Jacobs by now. Baseless threats and empty promises. She isn't worried about the New Age at Bound for Glory, especially after Paul Heyman gave her permission to look outside the company for her partner. The other Knockouts made that choice for her, so she's delighted to confirm that they will be at ringside as Lumberjills this Sunday. Seems like Paul Heyman himself is a little bit concerned about the potential of the New Age getting involved. Tara herself isn't. Paul Heyman has decided that we need a barrier between the match and any potential outside interference. Tara can also confirm the name of her partner, but she's going to wait until after the New Age's match later tonight so she can see the looks on their faces when she reveals that name. So a much better segment than the previous one from Tara, doing a good job of advancing the storyline and gaining heat to it. That's why she's so valuable in this Knockouts division. Consistently strong performances and setting up a tease for later in the night, which I think is going to be a really good reveal just 3 nights before the pay-per-view. We end the hour's action with a match between Desmond Wolfe and Jay Lethal, and it's another defeat for Jay Lethal, but again with a caveat. Desmond Wolfe's in control for a lot of the match, but when Jay Lethal starts his babyface comeback, James Mitchell and Maria appear on the ramp. Ignore the note there because James Mitchell doesn't attack Jay Lethal. I think I said it, I'm pretty sure actually. Yeah, I just said it as a distraction. Technically Maria isn't distracting him, but her presence is causing a distraction, so that's why I've put that on. Basically, as soon as Jay Lethal sees Maria, his natural reaction is to disregard the match and run up the ramp to try and help her, so it's a non-finish really. Great heat and good wrestling though, and another good performance from Desmond Wolfe. We kept Jay Lethal strong as well, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so hopefully not hurting him too much going into the pay-per-view. Of course, it's almost certainly a trap. Jay Lethal himself knows that, but the global champion has no choice. It's the first time he's seen Maria in over a month. He's going to make an attempt to try and save her. As soon as Jay's within a few meters of her, Abyss appears from the entranceway and jumps his Bound for Glory opponent. Maria is unable to struggle free from James Mitchell and is forced to watch her boyfriend be hit with a chokeslam onto the steel of the stage. Abyss then drags Maria out of sight with him as James Mitchell tells the global champion that his time is ticking. The Jay Lethal experiment comes to an end this Sunday, once and for all, at the Monsters Ball. Decent segment, like I've said throughout this storyline. If I'd not got James Mitchell involved and had Abyss cut these promos, it would have been better, but I think the storyline would have been worse. There's the title and the personal side to this, as well as the big Monsters Ball stipulation, so I think all in all, it's a good storyline, even if the game doesn't represent that. And in this final segment, we just wanted to put over how desperate Jay Lethal is to get back with his girlfriend. We then see Desmond Wolfe had stood and watched this incident unfold. He looks a little bit annoyed to have once again had a victory overshadowed. Wolfe isn't left alone in the ring for long, however. Once Jay Lethal is helped out of there and Mitchell, Abyss and Maria are gone, Bryan comes down to go face to face with his Bound for Glory opponent. Danielson tells Wolfe that he doesn't like him, but puts him over strongly for his performances in his first year in TNA. Wolfe tells Bryan that he isn't going to talk himself out of a beating this Sunday, but Bryan laughs that off because a beating is exactly what he wants. He wants to wrestle, he wants to fight, he wants to remember what it's like to leave everything in the ring. He loves the violence and the brutality of professional wrestling, and he feels like TNA is the perfect place for him to do that. On 10-10-10, he wants to fight the man who has injured him throughout the years in more ways than he can possibly list. What Bryan is about to do is his way of ensuring that he gets exactly that at Bound for Glory as he slaps Desmond Wolfe in the face. Perhaps surprisingly, Wolfe doesn't retaliate, instead just going nose to nose with Bryan. The commentators put over their match this Sunday, Bryan Danielson's TNA debut, and the history between these two intense competitors. We'll see exactly what all that is about on 10-10-10. 65 is a decent rating. Continuing the storyline, unfortunately Bryan struggles without a script. Wolfe probably was at this time the better promo, so makes sense there really. And we return to the second hour of Impact with a video package looking at the history between Bobby Lashley and Samoa Joe, following footage of their match from last year and the controversial finish. Particularly, Ken Shamrock is shown in his personal gym, his first on-screen appearance for TNA in, I want to say 6 years, maybe more. I think it might be 7 actually. It's been a long time, and he says that he can't wait to get in front of the great TNA fans once again. As the first World Heavyweight Champion under the TNA umbrella, he loves to see how this company has grown over the years, and even more, he loves to be part of it as they go into the future. He puts over the level of fighter that now makes up the TNA roster, and Bobby Lashley and Samoa Joe are fine examples of that, two of the very best, and it is an honour for him to be the special guest referee for their match this Sunday. He's saying that he's not going to be intimidated. He's heard from Earl Hebner just how violent these guys are. He's not going to get distracted, and he is going to call this one right down the middle. Ken Shamrock guarantees that there won't be a repeat of what happened at last year's Bound for Glory, and when it comes to the finish, there'll be no question marks over who the better man is. His job is to ensure that the best man wins, and he's going to do exactly that, advancing the storyline, neither gaining heat or losing heat to it, but it's not that great of a segment really, based on Lashley and Joe's overness and Shamrock's entertainment. but his MMA badass gimmick gets a great initial rating, so I suppose that's good. Don't know if it'll have any effect on his refereeing ability this Sunday. Ken Shamrock, so much history, UFC legend, WWE Attitude Era alumni, and of course TNA's first champion, so great to have him on board for the pay-per-view. Jeff Hardy then makes his return to singles competition, defeating Brutus Magnus in what is really a exhibition match that allows the commentators 6 minutes to just go over the story between Jeff Hardy and Sting. We've not got a major segment between them tonight because of the talking segments we've had in the last 3 weeks, so we're just going to let the commentators here tell the story of what's going on between these two, as after the match, Doug Williams and Brutus Magnus look to regroup on the outside. They decide they want to make a statement and go after Jeff Hardy 3 days before the pay-per-view. This is a pretty basic angle setup because Sting comes out to make the save. That's the only reason that was there, and British Invasion understandably don't want to get into it with the Icon, who has his baseball bat. They have nowhere to go, and Sting hits them, takes them out, gets them out of the picture, with Jeff Hardy helping him to send Magnus and Williams to the outside. Sting then speaks with Jeff Hardy off microphone so we don't hear what they're saying, but he's talking about their Bound for Glory match. We're almost playing up here that Sting's telling Jeff not to let him down and don't screw this up. This is a big match and a big opportunity for both of them, and Jeff's trying to reassure him. Of course, if horror of horrors happen and Jeff Hardy turns up in that bad condition, not only will I accept that that is completely my fault for not taking stronger action last time, but I do actually have a little bit of a backup just in case that happens. Hardy then leaves the ring and heads up the ramp, and we see that there is still tension remaining between the two men, two baby faces, but they've had cross words in recent weeks. Not that great of a segment because Jeff Hardy struggles without a script, Sting doing okay and advancing the storyline, but a 70 heat probably isn't enough for such a huge match. We'll see how it does at Bound for Glory as we head elsewhere and follow up with Desmond Wolfe. He's asked a response to the incident between him and Bryan Danielson earlier. Particularly Lauren wants to know why he didn't retaliate. He didn't hit Bryan back even though he'd slapped him in the face. Wolfe shows the mark that's been left from the slap, but explains Danielson wants to fire Wolfe up. Not so that he gets more out of him, he'll claim that, but Wolfe knows that it's really to take his eye off the ball because he knows that a 100% focused Desmond Wolfe, like the one that is going to go into Bound for Glory, will beat him like that. Wolfe admits that he's been prone to making mistakes and losing concentration in recent months when it most matters, but he promises that is not going to happen at Bound for Glory. Bryan Danielson is getting the Desmond Wolfe that he knows so well, the toughest, most violent competitor in pro wrestling today. As Desmond Wolfe goes to walk off, Mr. Anderson walks onto the scene and introduces himself to Desmond Wolfe. He wonders if he knows who he is, considering he's not been pushed on TV recently. Not using the word pushed, but he's not been presented as a major player, and he says that he likes what he sees from Desmond Wolfe. Wolfe asks Anderson what he wants from him, and Anderson points to the camera. He just wants screen time. He asks Wolfe if he can believe that Mr. Anderson isn't booked in a match for Bound for Glory, a huge star, and he's had to resort to this to being seen on Impact. He can't even get a segment on the Go Home show. Anderson goes on to reiterate he's not in a match for Bound for Glory, but he will be at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, and coming out of 10-10-10, forget about the matches on the card. He guarantees that he will be the most talked about man in the company, and there's no question about that. Anderson then walks off, so he's somebody else like the New Age and like so many other people who is promising a huge thing. Hopefully again that can live up to people's expectations. The destined to do this forever storyline gaining heat thanks to Anderson there in part, as well as Desmond Wolfe, both of them improvising well. Happy with that to get the storyline back up a little bit, and hopefully it's some intrigue into what Mr. Anderson has planned. We then get a 6 knockouts tag team match, and notably Sarah Del Rey and Awesome Kong, who will face on Sunday, are in the match. This is one of the, let's say, tropes of my booking, but Del Rey and Kong fight off. They're not the legal women, but tensions boil over between them. Some kind of spot that sees them both go into the announce table. It's not the WWE style announce table, but I'm thinking maybe Sarah Del Rey has some sort of hold on Awesome Kong, and then Kong goes backwards and crashes into the table and just hits it with a strong impact. Maybe not the table. Sometimes they sort of rig things up at ringside where you can get the big loud noise but not necessarily hurt people. So something like that that's off to the side, which leaves Hamada and Kong to face the tag team champions. And of course, we're not going to have the Knockouts tag team champions lose this close to the pay-per-view. Mischief pinning Taylor Wilde with a leg trap sunset bomb. I think that's the code red. I remember an episode months and months ago where I was confused by the leg trap sunset bomb. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Another decent match. Jimmy Jacobs then joins Alyssa Flash and Mischief in the ring, as the Knockouts tag team champions are the only 2 women left standing of the 6 in that match. Jacobs begins to promote the new age and the change that is coming on 10-10-10. Everything changes this Sunday, but quickly he is cut off by Tara. She has heard enough, the fans have heard enough, and it's time for Jimmy Jacobs to just shut his mouth, either deliver or stop going on about it. He's been promising the same thing for 8 months now, and he is still yet to deliver on his promise. Tara, on the other hand, she always delivers, and Bound for Glory will be no different. She then introduces her partner. She's delivered big time on this via a vignette which shows on the screen. The camera pans up from a woman in a rural setting, going from some cowboy boots to some jean shorts to a plaid shirt. Eventually, we see that this woman is Mickie James. The New Age are clearly surprised by this reveal, but Jacobs wants to play it down. He doesn't want them to show any shock. Tara smirks as the commentators confirm the debut of Mickie James at Bound for Glory. Hardcore Country is coming to TNA. She's getting a title shot on her debut, but I think the storyline inbuilt with Tara going through the 2 of them and then not being able to find a partner justifies it. Mickie James is a huge get for this Knockouts division. Really, really frustrating to see her gimmick get a poor rating, but I think that her ability in general will do a good job overall. A large penalty to microphone skills during angles, which again, gimmicks are something that really bug me in this game, just because there seems to be no general rhyme or reason to them. It's just a roll of the dice, isn't it? Segueing from one Bound for Glory debut to another, Maro and Taz introduced footage from Evolve, which shows Bryan Danielson's most recent performance for that company. His debut was against Bobby Fish, which he won. He faces a much tougher test this Sunday, somebody much further along in his development as a wrestler, Desmond Wolfe, and we'll see if Bryan can raise his game now that he's in TNA. Jay Lethal is then interviewed about the Monsters Ball at Bound for Glory, having requested to speak despite being in the medical room and being checked on for his injuries. Jay Lethal says that these guys may still be running their tests to see what's happened and what his injuries are, but he promises nothing is going to stop him from competing at Bound for Glory. Jay Lethal then talks about his highs and lows from 2010, from having his job threatened on his first week, meeting Paul Heyman and losing friends, to winning championships and meeting the love of his life. Right now, even as he still holds this global championship, he's as low as he's ever been. He's angry, he's afraid, but more importantly, he is ready. An emotive Jay Lethal puts over the monstrous challenge that faces him this Sunday as he steps inside Abyss's playpen, the Monsters Ball, and he accepts everything that comes with it. The 24 hours deprivation beforehand, the fact that he is going to be teared limb from limb, but the only thing that matters is that at Bound for Glory, he fights with everything he has, for everything he has, and for everything that he has lost. Nothing, and he means nothing, will stop him from retaining the global championship and being reunited with Maria at Bound for Glory. So Jay Lethal doing a masterful job of improvising, gaining heat to the storyline with a really good promo segment from him. Delighted that that's come across well in the game, because I wanted it to be a really big moment for Jay Lethal, but you'd have to say Abyss is the favourite going into that match. We then lead into the main event with a quick package put together featuring words from all 3 teams in Sunday's Full Metal Mayhem. Each team stakes their claim for the World Tag Team Championships, while also putting over the danger and the trepidation of this match type. Beer Money have their sole focus on the World Tag Team Championships, while Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team admit that they are looking for revenge on Storm and Rude also. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin appear to be the most laid back, admitting that while Beer Money are the only duo who have been in this kind of match previously, as champs, They're confident that this match is in their hands. 3 very confident teams, and I think that's going to be a fantastic tag team match. Shelley's gimmick stale, advancing the storyline as we go into the main event. It's a solid main event, not fantastic, but I will note Shelton Benjamin's brilliant 80 performance in a bout that had great heat and good wrestling. Shelton Benjamin picks up the victory, Storm not involved in the fall, but in 12 minutes and 6 seconds, Benjamin pins Alex Shelley with the pay dirt, getting the crowd buzzing. I think I said it as a steal of the show just because I really wanted a strong main event for this go-home show. Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team then stand tall after the match. Charlie Haas joining Shelton Benjamin following his victory. The 3-way Full Metal Mayhem match at Bound for Glory for the World Tag Team Championships is once again heavily put over on commentary as we go into the final commercial break of the go-home show, and we return to the go home segment, which is a fantastic 97 rating. I think we've only had one angle better than that during the course of the game, and it was that promo from Kurt Angle a few weeks ago. But Paul Heyman, who is already in the ring, introduces the challenger AJ Styles, followed by the champion Kurt Angle. With just 3 days until their main event match at Bound for Glory, Heyman recaps the rules to both men of the Iron Man match. Of course they already know this, the winner is the man who scores the most falls in that hour, but he adds another wrinkle to this match. Given how packed Bound for Glory already is, there will be no opportunity for overtime on the 4-hour show should there be a tie. But Paul Heyman's thought ahead, given it wouldn't be a huge surprise and given how evenly matched these two men are. Of course, whoever has the most falls after the hour is up will leave with the World Heavyweight Championship. But if there is a deadlock, then AJ Styles will automatically earn a rematch for the next TNA pay-per-view. Turning Point, Kurt Angle will of course leave with the championship. He hopes that there is a winner, but he couldn't pick between these two guys right now, even if somebody held a gun to his head. Heyman says that the floor is now AJ Styles's, and AJ says there is no danger of this match going to a draw. He promises that, because at Bound for Glory, he's going to throw all he has at Kurt Angle. He says it's funny, because for all the talk there's been that they're tied 1-1 this year, not a lot of people know that their competitive rivalry started long before 2010 began. 1 year ago today, that was just another chapter in the AJ Styles Kurt Angle storyline as they went to a 20-minute time limit draw just 3 nights before Bound for Glory 2009. From that night, even going into the biggest show of the year, he knew who his biggest competition in TNA was. They both went on to win at that Bound for Glory, but it wasn't long before their paths crossed again. Genesis 2010, AJ beat Kurt Angle, but in the last 12 months, each of them have held the World Heavyweight Championship for 6 months after Kurt beat him at Lockdown. At this point, Kurt cuts AJ off. He accepts that AJ had a good run and he's a great wrestler, but he disagrees with him trying to paint himself as an equal of Kurt Angle. Angle then lists off the history of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship: Angle, vacant, Angle, Sting, Angle, Joe, Sting, Foley, Angle, AJ, Angle. He has dominated the lineage of that title, and he has dominated this company for as long as he's been here. The World Heavyweight Championship of TNA is synonymous with his name. He accepts that AJ is a phenomenal athlete, maybe the best that he has ever faced, but at Bound for Glory, he's going to prove why he stands alone as the greatest wrestler in the history of this business. Kurt then turns to Paul Heyman and tells him sure, AJ is the perfect poster boy for this company and he's represented it impeccably since day one. But since December 24th, 2006, these 6 sides have belonged to Kurt Angle. This may be the house that AJ built up from the ground, but Kurt is the one who made people stop and take notice. He's the one that put TNA on the map as a major wrestling promotion. Feeling disrespected that Kurt is now speaking with Paul Heyman and not the guy he's facing on Sunday, AJ grabs Kurt's microphone and tells him that he's done listening to him and AJ is the one who's going to speak now. The only difference between Kurt Angle being a 5-time champion and him holding the title only once is opportunity. Those behind the scenes running this company have always been in awe of the big time stars, and Kurt Angle is the biggest name. He accepts that. But when it's come to them facing off 1-on-1, AJ has beaten Kurt twice as many times as Kurt has beaten him. The only difference is that Kurt Angle has been given chance after chance to win the title. Kurt even built himself a mafia to try and run this company into the ground, whereas everything AJ Styles has done has been off his own back. We're not suggesting there that Kurt Angle's had favourable booking or anything shooty like that. It's just the idea that Kurt Angle has the reputation that means that he's more likely to get a title shot than AJ Styles, and that's why AJ feels Kurt has held the title so many more times than anybody else. Styles says that, like Kurt, he's not a big fan of Paul Heyman either, but since coming to this company, he can give him credit for one thing. The playing field has been levelled for the first time in a long time, and it doesn't matter whether you're young, hungry and aggressive, or old, bitter and jaded. That particular comment is very pointed towards Kurt Angle, and he says that every opportunity you get has to be earned. He adds that Kurt Angle is damn right that this is the house that AJ Styles built, and he is proud of that. At Bound for Glory, he is coming to collect what is owed to him. He wants the World Heavyweight Championship. All year, he's sat back and kept his mouth shut as he's been listening to Kurt Angle's paranoid ramblings about these young'uns are here to steal his spot and how Paul Heyman wants to push him out the door. Well, on Sunday, his worst nightmare becomes a reality, and he saves Paul Heyman a job in the process by proving to everybody watching around the world that the so-called greatest of all time isn't a match for the phenomenal one. He will be the one leaving with the championship that denotes him as the best in the world. AJ then goes nose to nose with Kurt Angle, the two men clearly fired up for their match. It's not so much a personal rival. We've not gone into the reasons why they necessarily dislike each other. It's more the fact that these two are almost find it insulting that the other one thinks that they're better than them, and that level of competition is the storyline really. The fact that they are going to push each other to raise the bar and hopefully produce the best match in TNA history. This is certainly the best storyline we've done in terms of the heat on it since the start of the save, and hopefully that reflects well on the night. Bound for Glory, 10-10-10 in 3 days time. The commentator is putting over Kurt Angle will defend his World Heavyweight Championship in an Iron Man match against AJ Styles. The commentators sign off following a heated segment between the champion and challenger, promoting this Sunday's pay-per-view one final time. So that was a really long segment, but everybody doing a fantastic job. That 97 is probably the reason that this is one of our best impacts yet. Other than that, it was fairly average, but I'm delighted to see that we've been able to push it over the edge with a strong main event, no doubt, but that segment definitely making the difference. Unfortunately, I just auto-named that instead of putting, so that's quite annoying that when I look back on the history, I'll see Angle with AJ Styles, Kurt Angle and Paul Heyman, but I'm not going to worry too much about that because we are finally done with the build to Bound for Glory. Not to suggest I haven't enjoyed building to the pay-per-view, but of course it is all about getting to this pay-per-view, and hopefully the build has lived up to expectations. I know that I've put a lot into trying to hype this up to people and trying to get people excited for the pay-per-view, so hopefully the card that we've put together and how we've got there is to people's liking. If not, I'm happy to hear what you might have done differently, but hopefully either way you will join me for Bound for Glory 10-10-10, the night everything changes in TNA. Thanks for watching. The new age is coming.